Hey guys, Mr. Ryan here. This question's from 2009, Macroeconomics, FRQ 1. The question is in the YouTube channel. It's what I assigned. I want to go over the answers right now, so please make sure you read the question because we're going to go right into it. First question asked, U.S. economy is in long-run equilibrium. Expected inflation is 6%, unemployment is 5%, nominal interest rate is 8%. There's a lot of numbers there. First thing you're asked to do is to draw a Phillips curve, and you could actually put in those numbers for inflation rate there. And you can put in the unemployment rate, which is 5%, which is the NRU. So if you're just following what it says, you should have an LRPC, an SRPC, unemployment rate, inflation rate. It tells you the inflation rate is 6%, and it gives you 5%. You should know that that's the NRU. If you don't have an LRPC there, no, you have to have it. Okay, so everything's good there. I put just added information. They give you the nominal interest rate on my sheet. I put it up there just like that so I didn't forget it. Second question says, calculate the real interest rate in the long run. Well, if you just know the formula, nominal interest rate equals real plus inflation. Nominal is 8%. X is our real, that's what we're looking for. Here's 6. I do a little bit of basic algebra and I get 2%, and that's all you have to do as long as you show your work. For C, assume the Fed Reserve decides to target an inflation rate of 3%. Well, what was the inflation rate? Inflation rate was 6%. So they're looking to shrink the economy, right? So they're going to have some type of contractionary monetary policy. It specifically asks, what open market operation should the federal bank undertake? Open market operation is either one of two things, buying bonds or selling bonds. And since this is contractionary, we are selling bonds. D asks you to draw that and show the effect on the nominal interest rate. Draw the money market. So I drew a money market. Quantity of money, nominal interest, vertical money supply, money demand's downward sloping. MS is contracting, they're selling bonds. So they're giving banks a piece of paper. The banks are then giving them money. They're burning the money, so money supply shifts to the left. Interest rate I show goes up, Q1 to Q2. Done. Now it gets tricky. E says, how will the interest rate change you identified in D, the previous one, affect aggregate demand in the short run? Well, in the short run, when interest rates are going up, aggregate demand will shift to the left. Okay, now they don't ask you to draw this, but I drew it for you. So AD goes to the left. That makes pretty much sense. Well, then it says, explain why. Why does AD go to the left? Well, in general, when interest rates go up, investment goes down. Money is more expensive. Consumption also goes down because interest rates are going up. And when interest rates go up, people say, hey, would I rather spend more money or would I rather save more money? Well, if interest rates are going up, people will save a little bit more money. So consumption actually goes down. And that's how you're kind of expected to explain it. Now, this is a much larger explanation that is normally needed, but follow me along here. The tests have evolved since 2009, so this is usually not as wordy as you would get, but aggregate demand decreases, like we said, and it goes down because investment will decrease in the short run. Consumption will also increase as interest rates rise. I put down people save more. So consumption and investment are both components of aggregate demand. They love this phrase. Right? Whenever AD is shifting because of C or I, they want to make sure you understand that C and I are both components of aggregate demand. Don't just assume that we know that. Then we get to the fun one. This takes a lot of steps. So for F, assume the Federal Reserve action is successful, so interest rates went up. What will happen to each of the following as the economy approaches new long-run equilibrium? So look what happened here. AD went to the left. This was successful, right? They wanted to do this. They wanted to lower the interest rates. They wanted to lower the inflation rate. And so they brought the price level down. So that's successful. It says, what happens to the short-run Phillips curve? So let me go back to the first one. All right, the short-run Phillips curve is here. What happens there in the long run? Well, we were here, okay? AD went to the left. AD went to the left. When AD shifts to the left, that means we go from this point down the curve here because they are mirrors of each other. But that is the tricky part because that's only in the short run. The question specifically says what happens in the long run. So this is why I go back to this one. Again, you don't have to draw this. When AD goes to the left, what happens in the long run? It doesn't tell you anything else. It just says this. You have to say, well, in general, if there's no Keynesian theory, we assume it's classical theory. And when price level drops, workers will accept lower wages and SRAS goes to the right. That's the explanation you're going to give here. So if SRAS goes to the right, what happens here? Well, when AD shifts, there's a movement along the curve. But when the SRAS shifts, the SRPC is going to shift. And in this case, the SRAS is shifting down and to the right, which means the SRPC as a mirror is going to go down and to the left. And so the answer is, to get a point for this, the SRPC will shift left. And the reason they give is they say inflationary expectations will go down. I got to be honest with you, I think that's a terrible explanation. They probably accepted way more answers than that. I would not direct my students to answer in that way. They were trying to figure. I would do what I just said to you is what I would say. I'd say when AD goes to the left, that brings average price level down and output down. And when I think it's fair to say when that happens, the SRPC will shift to the left. And as a result, you got lower inflation there. So inflationary expectations go down. I actually think my answer is a clearer, better response. Okay? 1 second, buddy. All right, for the last one, it says what happens to the natural rate of unemployment? Natural rate of unemployment stays the same because nothing has impacted the amount of growth, okay, in the long run, and we haven't hit a major recession in the long run. There's been no impact on capital, doesn't give you any of that information. It was just a monetary policy. Things go back to the natural rate in the long run. All right, thanks for watching.